Hello everyone, this is the Oz Commander and this is another review. This time we're going to be talking about a game that was not made by the original developers and has been on hiatus for about 5 years now, or maybe even 7. It's been that long. We are of course talking about Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. Now I've heard a lot of developers mentioning that this game does in fact play a lot like the original installments, but I haven't heard them really talk about the innovations that they made, and that is really because they haven't really made many at all. And I feel that is because of the new developing switch. That Sanzara didn't really want to make too many new changes to the formula just so the fans don't get more angry, so that they have more of a respect towards Sanzara and they don't, Sanzara doesn't fuck up this game with the formula switch and then the fans not enjoy the game. So what they're trying to do, and it's obvious they're going to be making another game from the ending, you've probably heard this already. So I feel that this game is meant to be just a trial, to see how it goes, to see how the fans react to it. If they still like the formula, if they want it changed, so on. And I feel the next installment in the franchise is definitely going to be a lot of changes, because I feel that they've gained the trust now of the fans and they're ready to tackle different new ways of the formula. So anyway, that's what we've got, and that's what I've picked up on the initial instincts of the game. So now I'm just going to go through a couple of notes that I've taken from my playthrough of the game and accomplishing the platinum. My first one I've got here is the controls at first seem a bit stiff. Now yes, if you've never played a Sly Cooper game, or if you're playing this one not directly after you've played original Sly Cooper game from the trilogy, the controls will feel a bit stiff, or at least they did to me. I've just come from God of War Ascensions, and the controls at first, I will admit, they were a bit clunky, they didn't feel responsive, and they were just a bit stiff overall. But surprisingly, after Paris, I was getting used to them, and once you get used to them, by the end of the game, they were incredibly responsive. They were just fluent. I loved the controls. So it may just be a false note, I'm not sure, but that's how I felt during the start of the game. Now crawling. If you played a former Sly Cooper game, you know that you have to crawl under certain vents or under tables. And in Thieves in Time, crawling is hard to control. Most of the time when I was crawling under a table, I'd usually hit both sides of the wall and it wouldn't really work. But that's alright, because you don't really do that much of crawling in the game. Now the collectibles, there is a fuckload of collectibles in this game. It goes from bottles, masks, treasures, arcade machines. I'll read out the list here. You've got bottles, masks, safes. Safes pretty much come with bottles. I mean, once you've collected all 30 of the bottles, then you can unlock the safe. The treasures, which are pretty much just, you run to a treasure. I think there's 11 of them in each level. You pick up the treasure and you have a set time to get that treasure back to your base. And if you get all of them, then you unlock an arcade machine. So again, the arcade machines pretty much fall under the same category as the treasures, like the bottles and the safes. So that's there are also costumes and trophies, which trophies are given for every PlayStation game. And then there's costumes, which I wouldn't really call them collectibles, but the developers had said that these are collectibles, although I don't really consider them much of collecting, because you have to get all costumes in order to beat the game. So I don't really find that much of collecting. And the dialogue. The dialogue I have a little bit of an issue with. In the former Sly Cooper games, the dialogue was actually pretty funny. It made sense, and it wasn't too cheesy. In this game, the same cannot be said. I will admit that there are a few giggles I had during the dialogue, but overall, it was just cheesy. I didn't laugh on it. There was, at the very start, I think Bentley says, the last time I was in here, I was just a teenager. That was a cool reference to him being a turtle in the sewers, and giving a reference to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That I found, that did put a grin on my face. But the rest of the dialogue, especially with Murray, didn't really have much fun. Sly had a couple whimsical remarks here and there, but overall it did feel a little bit cheesy. Now the boss fights. From the first boss fight, mainly, and the third one with Grizz, they reminded me a hell of a lot of Crash Bandicoot. If you've played Crash Bandicoot, you understand what I'm talking about. Especially Grizz. Grizz reminds me a hell of a lot of the Dingo Dire boss fight in Warped, Crash Bandicoot Warped. If you play it, you may if you've played Crash Bandicoot Warped, go directly from that game to Sly Cooper Thieves in Time after playing the Dingo Dire boss fight and tell me that this doesn't have some similarities. It's both in the ice level and with, minor spoilers here, but in the Grizz boss fight a ring around him of stones comes down, and your objective is to hit those stones while dodging attacks that he hits, pushing these ice cubes out and hitting him. Similar to Dingo Dire, where he puts down like circles of crystals and you have to destroy those crystals. So it is very similar in that respect. Now the autosaves in this game, you've probably heard, I swear to God, these are the best autosaves I've ever played in a single game. Up to the point where I think they're too good, to be honest. You'll never have a trouble with the autosaves, and I think that actually is a problem. Because you won't really find this very hard. With the former Sly Cooper games, when you died, for example, there was a collecting mission. We have to collect 3 diamonds, stones, whatever, and bring them back. In the original Sly Coopers, if you collect 1 stone or 2, and you die before getting the 3rd one and taking it back, you have to start all over. In this game, each diamond you collect, you get a save point, and then you have to run back, and there's a save point between the last diamond you collected and the door, which it wasn't really difficult for me playing through the game, which was a little bit unfortunate. The missions sometimes get repetitive, and what I mean by this is you have to do in each level a scout mission where you have to go out and take what do they call it? Recon work, and like scan the map or area that you're in and take photos. I'm pretty sure you do this in every single era or area. And then there's also these following missions, which are in almost every single era, where you pretty much just have to follow the boss you're fighting, and he'll take you back to the... Actually, no, it isn't every single one, thinking about it. There's one with Dilabella? Actually, I won't spoil it, but yeah, that is a following mission in every single one where you follow the boss. And it gets you after the first 2 or 3 times, you won't notice it, but after a while, I swear to God, it'll be deja vu. You'll recognize it and be like, hey, I remember doing that. And it'll click in your head, trust me. You'll see. You'll see. And the last one I have here is the lack of innovation, but I already talked about that at the start. So now we're going to quickly, after talking about the notes, I'm just going to very quickly pretty much go back to how the game starts. Now the game starts with Sly coming out of his sort of retirement with Carmelita. If you've played the previous one, you'll understand the ending, how he tricked Carmelita into believing that he lost his memory and that he can't remember a damn thing, and Carmelita tricks him. He doesn't obviously have lost his memory. He was just playing. And this ends up from Sly having an itch that he needs to fulfill by thieving. And it all connects at one stage with Bentley coming back, talking about the pages of the Thieves Raccoonus disappearing. And they have to reunite the gang to come back and figure out what's going on. And also Penelope disappearing, which is another reason why he came to Sly, because he doesn't know what happened. And there is something secret going on there that you'll figure out later. So now that we've talked about pretty much every single thing in the game, I'm going to give my verdict and who I recommend this to. Now, I've talked about in previous games or movie reviews my scale, and I'm not going to repeat that because I've had like 3 reviews where I've mentioned it. So now I'm just going to give my verdict of the game. Sly Cooper, it's a good game. I wouldn't so it's anything to write home about. And it's mainly the lack of innovation. Oh, that's something I also didn't mention, the loading times. The loading times are probably the second biggest gripe I have with the game. The number one would probably be the autosaves. The loading times take forever, but that's alright. It gives you a quick pause in the action to get ready and then move on. So I didn't mind the loadings that badly, although most reviewers are saying that the worst thing in the game is the loadings. I disagree though. I reckon they're good. They give you a quick break from the action and then you can get back right in. So Sly Cooper, I'll be giving probably a... I don't think it's worth a 7.5, I don't. It is good, but it's not great, and 7.5, 8 is great, 7 is good, and it's not quite in the middle. So I'm going to give Sly Cooper a 7.25. It's good. It's slightly better than good. It wouldn't be between both of good and bad, good and great. So it's slightly leaning more towards the good side. So it's a 7.25. I'm not sure about if I'd recommend this as a buy. If you've never played a Sly Cooper game before, then obviously I'm not sure if you'd really like the game, because it is a lot. It does remind you a lot of the sort of PS2 style gameplay with the platforming, and because of the lack of innovation, there's nothing really new that will captivate the today generation gamers who play Call of Duty and etc. So that's my... Oops, someone's calling me. Sorry about that. Fuck. Alright, so that's my review. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you next time for the God of War Ascensions review, or I haven't quite uploaded the Platinum videos yet, so I'll probably upload them next after this review. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.